Hey, this is 2 days in a row. I used to do movie reviews every single day, and then life just got too crazy. But I'm back. And so thank you for your patience. So today I'm excited to talk about a brand new movie that is coming out. I'm trying to look at my notes here. It is called, hold on, Solo Mio. Um, it's a fun rom-com by Angel Studios, and it premieres in theaters on February 6th, 2026. The movie is rated PG. It's an hour and 38 minutes. And as you know, if you've watched me and followed me on my movie reviews, you know I love Angel Studios. They are really trying to put good stuff out there. Now, I don't just mean good quality, although they do that, but goodness. There's enough garbage in the world that they really try to shine light on a world that seems really dark at times. And I was super excited about this movie because I love Kevin James. I absolutely love Italy. And so here's the scoop. But before I get into the review, if you are planning a trip to Italy or want to go to Italy, there's a link down in the description below for a really nice Italy guidebook to help you navigate the country and decide even which places you want to go. There are so many amazing places to visit in Italy. I was just there again just a few months ago and got to introduce my youngest son to Rome specifically. And he fell in love, and we decided we're both going to write a book together about Rome. I've written 35 books. Okay, here's my shameless plug, and then we'll get into the movie. I've written 35 books. I'm a professional author coach, and my goal has always been to write a book with each of my four sons. So my first book with one of my sons was a dating book that afterwards spun off into a multi-million dollar dating app called Mutual. And I'm so thrilled for him. It was a fun book to write, but the app is just amazing and really took it to a whole other level. So now my next book with a son is going to be this book about Rome. And I'm super excited because we are both so passionate about the country. And anyway, I'll tell you more about that maybe when it gets close to being published. I don't have a date yet, but it's coming out in 2026. Anyway, enough of that. So, in a nutshell, Kevin James returns to what he does best, playing a well meaning, slightly clueless man thrown into circumstances beyond his comfort zone. Solo Mio is light, it's predictable fun, and it leans more on charm, probably more than originality. Although the original part of it is that we get to go to Italy and spend time there. The film was directed by Charles Francis Kinane. Did I pronounce his name correctly? Kinane and Daniel Kinane. But wait, that's not all of the Kinane brothers. All eight of them worked on this movie in a variety of roles. I think that's awesome. And the fact that there are eight brothers, that's amazing. I'm such a lightweight. I have four sons, and that's nothing compared to eight. But anyway, this story is about this wedding disaster that leaves the groom, Kevin James, stranded in Rome, heartbroken in the world's most beautiful, happiest city. But with one determined local who happens to be gorgeous and a few meddling vacation couples in his corner rooting him on, his ruined honeymoon becomes an adventure he never expected. Sometimes heartbreak is just the first chapter of a better story. So the movie was written by Kevin James himself, along with John Kinane and Patrick Kinane. He's just adorable. He's the kind of the same type of character that he always plays, lovable, goofy, and all of that. So, quick tips for parents. The film is generally safe for teens and adults, but parents should be aware of some mild language, some crude humor, not a ton, and situational comedy involving alcohol and awkward romantic moments. Nothing is graphic, but younger viewers might miss the humor or feel uncomfortable with a few of the adult jokes. There is kissing. There are kids that have to, well, in the movie there are kids, but if you are a kid or you have kids who are watching the movie, they're going to have to read cell phone texts and even some subtitles when Italian is spoken. There is a lot of alcohol and people get drunk in several scenes. So it's family friendly-ish, depending on your level of comfort with those things. So some of the themes that are illustrated very well in the movie are stepping outside your comfort zone, finding purpose later in life, embracing change, self-discovery through unexpected relationships, and learning to laugh at yourself. So there's a long list of things that I really liked about this film. First of all, Kevin James. His physical comedy is front and center in this movie. And he also helped produce the film and screenwrite it, as I mentioned it. I've been a fan of his for years. And if you like him, I think that you're going to get a kick out of this movie simply for another opportunity to watch him do his shtick. There is just something so charming about Kevin James that you always want to root for him and be happy and be successful, right? And that's absolutely true in this film as well. Other cast members include Allison Hannigan, Nicole Grimaldo, Kim Coates, and Jonathan Rumi. Now, I was a little nervous about Jonathan Rumi. I mean, he plays Jesus in the Chosen TV series, which is amazing. I love that whole TV series. And so now I see him as Jesus, right? Everybody probably does. And so in this movie, he's just a regular guy. And it took me a minute to kind of not think he was Jesus. I mean, he's not playing a character anything like Jesus, but just seeing him on the screen playing this character, I was like, wait, I don't know if I like this or not, or. But of course, I'm happy for him because he's an actor and he needs to get work. And so I was thrilled that he was able to be in this movie. And then we also see an actress that I haven't seen really do a whole lot since How I Met Your Mother, that TV series, which is so much fun. We get to spend time in gorgeous Italy, of course. During the majority of this movie, the cinematography captures the true beauty and magic of the city, the country. Just loved it. Um, let's see. Oh, I was going to mention that my son is a history buff, and I've been to Rome many times and still haven't seen everything. We also get to spend time in Siena, which is a gorgeous medieval city, also in Italy. I spent some time there and was so enchanted by just some of the really neat things that happen in Siena. It's famous for the palio, the horse races. And one of the things that I just thought was so cool is in the city, and it's a small medieval city, it's divided into barrios or neighborhoods. And every neighborhood has a horse that they groom and maintain and train to compete in this palio, this horse race once a year. And so all of the neighborhoods have their neighborhood flag, and they're very colorful with beautiful designs. And then they take that flag and they turn that into scarves that the women wear or shirts that the men wear. You see them all over the neighborhood, and every neighborhood has a mascot, like an animal, a turtle or a rabbit, and they're all over the neighborhood area itself. They're in the cement or the tiles or the floors or the walls, in the architecture painted. It's just a really neat community feeling of Siena, with all of the costumes and the designs and the community spirit in town. I just was so enchanted with that city. If you get a chance to go to Siena, definitely check that out. In the movie, you're going to see this very high tower in the plaza where the horse race actually takes place in real life. And during the non-paleo times, tourists are allowed to go up to the tower and climb it and look at the incredible views. It's just really neat. We get some awesome cameo performances in this movie, but I can't tell you what they are. No spoilers, but you're gonna love them, I promise. There are several genuinely laugh out moments. How did I say that? Laugh out loud moments. The film shows quite a few characters who experience character growth, and I always look for that and appreciate that when it's included in a movie, where it's not just the protagonist learning and growing, although that takes place in this movie, but several characters learn and grow, and I think that that's great. The music is a nice mix of just American music we're familiar with, a lot of upbeat stuff, but then a lot of Italian music. So you really feel immersed in the culture. Keep watching during the final rolling credits for some more cute scenes. fun fact, all of the school scenes were filmed in Deer Park, Long Island, but they absolutely went to Italy, and you can see that it's not a green screen. They're there. So there were just a few things that I didn't like about the movie. First of all, the plot is my biggest complaint. So this man goes to Rome to marry the love of his life, and she leaves him at the altar. She's a no-show, and he's like, what's happening? What's going on? And she leaves a note for him and just says, I can't do it. And he's devastated, right? Um, so then, and we've seen that plot before, it's not unique, but then, what happens next? So I don't want to give you too many spoilers, but my biggest complaint asks this question: what kind of woman runs a cafe and then spontaneously leaves in the middle of the workday to go hang out with a complete stranger, or in this case, strangers, Americans who were on a tour? Who doesn't speak her language at all. And now don't get me wrong though, because I think that the actress who plays this cafe owner is just gorgeous and so charming. Her name is Nicole Gramado. She's absolutely darling. But I was just like, okay, he was going to marry somebody, and and now he's spending time with this complete stranger, and he doesn't speak Italian. She does. So what does it say about a man who's so madly in love with the woman that he was prepared to marry that he starts falling in love with a complete stranger in less than 2 days? And I'm like, really? I don't know. I mean, it's a rom-com. We got an hour and a half. We got to pack all of this in. I get it. But I just was like, what does that say about his loyalty or the depth of his feelings for this fiance that he was going to marry? I know, it's just a movie. It wasn't as funny as I had hoped. I did say there were laugh out loud moments. There's a lot of physical humor. That could have been more. It's Kevin James. And there is more physical humor than more cleverly worded humor. It's situational, but I was hoping to really spend the whole movie just smiling and laughing. And maybe, I just had high expectations. The story beats are fairly predictable because it's a rom-com. We basically know what's going to happen, how things are going to end up, maybe not the details in between. The pacing does slow in the middle, although they're trying to build relationships with primary characters and secondary characters, and I get that. And then I thought, sadly, there were some missed opportunities to go deeper emotionally. Again, this man just got jilted, at the altar. And you don't want a movie, a rom-com especially, to be so heavy that he's constantly crying. We do get a few moments where we see he's devastated, but I don't know. Even with some of the secondary characters, some of those relationships felt very surface level. Now, whenever I watch movies, before I tell you that, Larry, let me jump over here and see if anybody's written any comments. I know I didn't give anybody fair warning that I was doing this, so that's okay. But you can comment later after you watch the replay. Anyway, I always write down funny lines and interesting lines, and I like sharing them with you. So some of the funny lines came from Kevin James, of course. So he said, in his way, he says, talking to somebody, I came here to find myself, but I think I lost my luggage instead, and you just, like I said, there's something about him. You just always root for him. You want him to do well in life, his characters. And then in another moment, he says to Gia, who's played by Nicole Gramado, and he says, he said something, and he says, I'm trying to be funny. And she says, keep trying, and part of it is the lack of translating humor in another language, which is cute and a kind of a running thread throughout the movie. And then I wrote a couple of interesting lines that speak to the theme. So one is, sometimes being alone is the only way to hear what your life has been trying to tell you. And that speaks to some of the growth that Kevin James's character experiences as well, that there were some red flags, and sometimes we want things to happen that really aren't the best thing to happen for us. You know what I mean? And so we get a little bit of that. And then there's another character who's played by Julie Serda, and she says it's okay to not be okay. And we see that also in the movie where he's not okay, and these new friends that go on the tours with him, you know, are trying to rally and say it's okay to be sad. You just got jilted. However, some of the characters are like, "Hey, there's a hot Italian, go for her," you know, and I'm like, hold the phone, you know, he just was going to get married. He can't all of a sudden start hitting up on all of these other girls. So that kind of bugged me a little bit. Now, before we go, let me leave you some recommendations for other films that I think that you'll like, and you might even like better than this one. The first is Here Comes the Boom, and that is a fun physical comedy with Kevin James. He's really cute, and it's also a very touching and sweet movie. Another one that has similar themes to this one is Eat, Pray, Love, right? Where Julia Roberts just went through a divorce, and actually Under the Tuscan Sun, same thing, where what's her name? Diane Lane is going through or just went through a divorce, and she's trying to find herself, and they both end up in Italy. It's such a great place for healing. And then another one is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, partly because Kevin James's characters are kind of like that Walter Mitty character where he's just sort of uncomfortable and awkward in every situation. And he's trying to also figure out who he is in this world and find love and happiness and purpose and all of that. So I really like all of those movies and highly recommend them. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now. All right, now if I can click over and find the end stream button. Here it is. See ya.